What's up, y'all? Welcome to Original Gamers Cast. I'm your host, Patrick Ryan, and I'm joined today by Nolan Brown.
Hello.
And Joel Watt.
Hello, friends.
And this week we're going to be talking about The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past. But before we get into that, how you guys doing?
Not too bad. Can't complain.
Yeah, I'm working on no sleep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Just recovered from a cold. Yeah.
Yeah.
Life's
that
great
sounds
right
fun.
now.
Colds stink. No one
Yeah.
likes those. Sweet. So, real quick, let's talk a little bit about what this podcast is going to be. A while back, I made a post. My then girlfriend, now wife, so congratulate me.
Congratulations.
Yay. Okay. She started playing A Link to the Past, and I made a post about it. I don't remember what exactly. And Nolan and I started going back and forth, reminiscing about the game and remembering it and just what an impact it had on our lives and all these things. And then somehow through that, I or he or both of us together decided, hey, we should do a podcast where we just sit around talking about really old video games. And so we talked about that for a little bit, and then I thought, hey, Joel plays old video games. He should get in on this with us. So, and the rest is history. Now it exists. Here it is.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Oh, no problem.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's fun stuff.
It's going to be excellent. So, real quick, just going through. So, again, we're talking about A Link to the Past. It was a Super Nintendo game that was released, let me check my notes, on November 21st, 1991 in Japan. This game is old, guys.
It was 7 months old.
Yeah, I was in second grade.
I was, let's see, I would have been 7 years old.
Yeah.
So, and then and that was when it came out in Japan. It came out in the United States on April 13th, 1993. And I don't know if this is right. I have September 24th, 92 for Europe, but that would, back
Really?
then, it would have been weird for Europe to get a game before us.
Yeah, that's what Wikipedia says.
Okay. Well,
Which it's Wikipedia, so I mean.
right. Hey, don't knock Wikipedia. Wait,
Oh,
I'm checking their source. Whoa. This is
Many
not...
a paper have I quoted Wikipedia.
Yeah,
so
I have to.
can't really
I
say
clicked
anything.
on the source for Wikipedia, and it's like being eaten by Linux.
Oh, well, that's fun.
Yeah.
Well then.
So we're just gonna go with 1992 for Europe.
Okay, that
Yeah,
sounds
probably.
good to me. But it was developed by Nintendo EAD, which is one of their many internal developers. Obviously, it was published by Nintendo. It was directed by Takashi Tezuka.
Yeah, Takashi Tezuka.
Yes,
Tezuka.
that's not a name I recognize just off the top of my head.
That's an. I
Not
think
as
he worked on Super
much.
Mario World too.
Okay.
Also.
Yes. So
also
not Yoshi's Island,
Island.
but
No, he
Super
might have
Mario
done that
World.
as well. But
Yeah.
That's a name I recognize from the Super Mario World credits because I beat that game more times than I can count.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sweet. It was produced by the same guy who created it, Shigeru Miyamoto.
Ah, Shiggy.
Miyamoto.
There's a name we all know.
Yeah.
That guy has probably had a bigger impact on my life than almost anybody outside of people I know personally.
Jesus.
I know. Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
and Jesus, of course.
Of course.
And the music was composed by Koji Kondo, who is a musical
Kondo.
genius.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
It's like one of my two favorites.
Yeah, this game kind of brought together the Nintendo Dream Team, Tezuka and Miyamoto and Kondo, and who else is listed? Tanabe, I think he's one of the writers on all the Zelda games.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a reason why this is the best Zelda game ever made. It's because they've got all
Oh.
their best guys together.
Those are big words.
Those are
Best
big
Zelda
words.
game ever
You
made.
know, there's a stance in the Zelda community. I know which one do you like more, A Link to the Past or Ocarina of Time. And even though I played Ocarina of Time first, I still think that this game is better.
I would
Fair
tend to
enough.
agree.
Edges it out slightly.
Yeah. If
I guess I'm in the minority on that one then.
around these parts you are.
Yeah, but then again, Ocarina was my first one, so
Mhm.
there's also that.
Ocarina was the first one that I beat. I never had this game in the life cycle of the SNES.
I didn't have this
Oh,
game
yeah.
until it came out on the Game Boy Advance version.
Yeah,
That's the one that I had.
Yeah.
I'm
I
sure
still have.
most people your age are the same way.
Well, I also never had a Super Nintendo. We had the NES, and then when I was, I think, 6, we got, the N64 came out, and Ocarina, and, all of that wonderfulness.
Oh yeah. I had this when it came out for the Super Nintendo. I don't remember if I played the original Zelda before this one or not. I don't think I had. So this is probably my first exposure to the series. But my first time playing it, I do remember that. I was at a family reunion in Iowa over at somebody's house that I had probably only just met like 30 minutes prior to that, and they were like, "Hey kids, go down in the basement and play some games." And so the
Gladly.
guy had the Super Nintendo, and I see this cartridge, and I put it in, and I remember the save file that I booted up had already been beaten, so I'm just on that tower with the hole going down to Ganon right there in front of me. I have no idea what's going on. And
Just starting right on the pyramid.
oh yeah, and I didn't know what to do. Of course, not knowing any better, I didn't want to fall in the hole, so I never went in there. But I'm wandering around the dark world. Everything's already been done, so I don't have any
death.
sort of sense of progress. But I loved it, and when we got back home, I probably, since I was only 8 or so, I probably asked for it for Christmas or something and got it as a present, and the rest is history.
Nice.
Do you guys remember so Nolan, you said you had it for, did you say the Game Boy Advance port?
Yeah, I had the Game
Yeah.
Boy Advance port
Mhm.
because I never had a Super Nintendo.
Right. I
is
have
fine.
or had that version. It's not a bad version. Actually, I think
No.
the only thing I disliked was they added the yelling from Ocarina of Time
Yeah, they
to
did.
it.
I noticed that. Like after playing the original and like playing this, it's like and someone said that it did that, and I didn't remember. And then playing it, I noticed that it's just it's right in there. I'm like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I find
Okay.
it a little distracting, but overall, it plays exactly the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But talking about my first experience with the game, I never owned a copy of the original Legend of Zelda until recently, like maybe 7 or 8 months ago.
oh,
And
Mhm.
but my friend across the street had like every Nintendo game ever. He was that kid. And
that friend we
so
all
I saw
have.
him play Zelda a lot, and then when A Link to the Past came out, I saw him play that a lot. I don't remember ever picking it up, but then years later, my brother borrowed a copy from a friend of his. I have 3 older brothers, so this would be brother number 3.
Mhm.
He borrowed a copy from a friend of his, and again, it was a completed save file, and so he was like going back and forth between the light world and the dark world all the time. He was running around finding all the portals, and I'm watching my brother play this, and I'm going, man, this looks like a lot of fun. Like this is way bigger than the original game.
Mhm.
And that's my first memories of A Link to the Past. And then Ocarina of Time came out, and I played that, and then on an emulator. Boo emulators, yeah. I know. I went back and I played A Link to the Past for myself finally, and I loved it. I loved everything about it. I was like, man, like this is Ocarina of Time 2D.
Mhm.
Pretty much.
It was great.
Oh, did you guys see that where like someone tried to make a Ocarina of Time 2D 2 dimension using
Yeah.
the Link to the
No.
Past.
Yeah, they tried. It
Yeah.
didn't get very far. It
Yeah.
was
It
all
didn't.
flash based.
It was, yeah.
And then I'm sure as soon as Nintendo heard about it,
Oh,
they're
yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Stop
Oh,
that.
just
totally shut
Yeah.
it down. Like they barely got the Kokiri Village built before Nintendo was like, done.
nope.
Yeah. Stop, or we'll take everything you love from
Cease
you.
and desist immediately.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on. We wanted to talk a little bit about the presentation of the game, the art style, the sound design, musical score, story, and all that stuff. So, if you guys remember, in the original Legend of Zelda, Link looked pretty different than he does now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His shield had a cross, and he was kind of designed to look like a Christian crusader, I believe.
Yeah.
A little
that
bit,
was-
except green instead of white and
Yes.
red.
Well, that's because he was supposed to be Peter Pan, though,
Yeah, that was the other thing.
too. But
Why did I never make that connection? That
I-
makes sense.
Yeah,
I
he even
read
plays
that.
the flute.
and I was just like, oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's
And he's
who that
got a
is.
fairy. And,
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then I assume he still looked like that in Zelda 2. But I've only
It's
played
kind
that
of
the
once.
same link between Zelda 1 and Zelda 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically the same.
Right. And then, of course, the Link's Awakening, the Game Boy game's in black and white, so there's not a whole lot of detail.
In the DX
That's
version,
supposed to be the Link to the Past link. That's supposed to be that same one.
yeah, it's supposed to be the
Yeah.
same link
Mhm.
from A Link to the Past. And in the DX version, it's in color, and he looks in the game's opening cinematic. He looks just like the Link out of the manga for A Link to the Past.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And did that game come out before A Link to the Past or after?
No, it's a sequel.
It
To
was-
Okay,
Yeah,
so it was
it was
after.
after.
Okay, so then A Link to the Past would be where his kind of the way we see him today
Yeah.
was sort of solidified.
yeah, he gets more of a blondish hair and
Right.
the blue shield, and yeah.
Hmm. And I still love. I guess this would have been established in the first one, but I still love that Link's a lefty, and he'll always be a lefty to me.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
As much as I like Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword, Link's a lefty.
Link
Yeah,
is a
for
lefty.
sure. He
And
is a lefty.
I would have played the game left-handed if they had the option.
Absolutely, I would have too.
And I am not left-handed.
Yeah,
Well, that was
I'm a
the-
righty.
GameCube version, they kept him as a lefty.
The
Yep.
Twilight Princess, yes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I would have played the GameCube version, but I think the GameCube version didn't come with a widescreen option. And
Did
as
it not?
much
That doesn't
as
make any sense.
I don't think so, maybe it did, but as
Oh.
much as I wanted him to be a lefty, I wanted the screen real estate. So,
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
and then I think the thing that I like the most about the presentation in this game is the music
Oh yes.
is amazing.
Oh,
Yeah,
so fun.
the soundtrack is actually so long it has to be on 2 discs. It's almost 100 minutes.
Yeah,
I believe it. Yeah.
absolutely.
Coming
What's
off
y'all's,
of 2
what's your
songs.
favorite piece from the game?
Oh, Dark World.
Oh,
The Dark World overworld music is like got to be the best in my opinion.
I like the original, just the Light World Overworld. That tune is just. Although I will say, what I liked is the Zelda. It's the first appearance of Zelda's Lullaby. Although
This
it
is
wasn't
true.
called that, but like I guess between those two,
Mhm.
it's close, just because both of those are just so ingrained.
Mhm.
Yeah. Fun fact about Zelda's Lullaby, I learned how to play a little bit of it on the Ocarina app for the iPhone when I used to have an iPhone.
There's an Ocarina app.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. There's one for Android. I have it on my
Yeah, there's
phone.
one for Android. I
Dude.
just never bothered to get it.
I'll have to look into this.
You
Yeah.
got to be really good and really fast to make it even remotely close. But
Yeah,
it sounds like it for sure.
that's
Yeah.
cool.
I've heard that the ocarina is one of the easiest instruments to pick up and learn.
It's not too bad. I had one at one point.
Yeah, I had one somewhere that was supposed to be a replica from Ocarina of Time, but then when I got it, I was like, it's blue and it has the Triforce on it, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I learned to play a few songs on it. I don't know where it is anymore. It's probably in a box somewhere. But no, so my favorite piece from the game is probably the credits roll. And not
Oh,
not the
yeah.
the part where they're catching you up on everybody. Like that's a good piece too, but when the actual credits to the game are rolling, it's just real mellow, and you just kind of get to sit back and, yep, I beat the game, and here's my reward. And then
Enjoy
the
it.
game very rudely tells you how many times you died in
Oh
every
yes.
dungeon.
It lists every single dungeon, how many times you died in each dungeon, and then
Yep.
how many total deaths.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I told my wife that. I was like, oh yeah, when you get to the end, it's gonna tell you this, and she thought that it was actually recording all of her deaths, like in video, and it was
Oh
gonna just
man,
show them. And I'm like, that would be horrible.
I would love that. I'd watch that over and over.
that would take up like 10 times the cartridge space.
Oh yeah,
Oh, for sure.
absolutely.
I'll admit, it'd be worth it though. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd find that edition.
Hmm.
Uh,
We should tell Nintendo, like, hey, the
Yeah.
next iteration of this.
I want
yeah,
this.
on the Zelda Wii U, can you
Yeah.
recording function?
Mhm.
I want to see how I
Xbox,
died.
record that. Oh wait.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now everybody listening to this podcast while playing their Xbox just recorded a clip.
Yes. Mayhem.
Aha.
Oh. So the story,
Hmm.
it's really kind of the first time that, like, obviously the other Zeldas before this had a story, but they were, on the NES and very limited in how they could tell it. So this was really the first one that it's got a real script, and there's characters with personality and life and all that stuff to it.
And
And
good
I think,
translations.
considering that, it's amazing how good it is.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like it still holds up today as a
Mhm.
really good story in gaming in general. And I heard Miyamoto say that one time, he feels like since Ocarina of Time they've been trying to remake Ocarina of Time,
Mhm.
but like I feel like they've been trying to remake A Link to the Past ever since they made A Link to the Past.
Yeah.
He's just trying to one up that story.
Mm.
And it's
I
just
mean-
so good.
Yeah. Never mind. I was gonna say something, and then just all the hate. So never mind.
Well,
No,
it
go ahead.
brings me to tears like Skyward Sword. I'll admit that, but
I mean, personally, I love the story for Ocarina or for Link to the Past. So
Mhm.
don't misinterpret this, but I feel like the story. I don't know. I like the story for Twilight Princess probably a little bit more.
Mhm.
Just because you finally have, it's like you're not there to save the princess, you're there to save your well, she's your girlfriend, like, straight up. So it's just, I always thought that was like,
Ilya,
okay,
what her name is?
Ilya, yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
that's what I always liked about that one, is that it's like you're not there to go save the princess who you've never met before. You're there because your friend who's has gone missing, so you're out there, and then just so happens you save the kingdom in the as well.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
And I think just because you like something better, I know this goes against all the rules of fandom on the internet, but just because you like something better than something else doesn't mean you hate the other thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wish
I-
more people understood that.
I know the internet is so full of extremes.
Yeah,
Pretty
It's like,
much.
this is my favorite thing and everything else is awful.
right.
Wait, no, that's not how opinions work.
Mhm.
Yeah.
My favorite moment in the game is still the very beginning, because in the first Zelda, you're just thrown out there and
Yeah.
okay, good luck. And and there's visual cues, hey, there's a hole in the wall, I should go see what that is and all that. But if in Link to the Past you're obviously given a little bit more direction, and I love that it still manages to point you in the right direction without just dragging you that way, like
Right.
some of the more recent Zeldas where they're knocking you over the head with where you need to go.
Yeah.
But it doesn't just let you flounder either. Like Zelda, she's communicating to you telepathically, and she tells you she needs help. And if you're exploring and wandering around, you eventually find the path to go around to the side of Hyrule Castle. But if you spend too long not figuring that out, she will kind of be like, "Hey, here's what you need to be looking for." But she still doesn't just flat out tell you where it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember when
Does she really?
I was testing the
Mhm.
game for my Let's Play, I did not go straight to the castle. I wandered around and I looked at every little thing, and like there were guards blocking like every path, and
Mhm.
Zelda kept talking to me, and the guards were giving me hints on how to play the game, and
Yep.
yeah, like the game does not coddle you, but at the same time, it still is trying to steer you in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, it's not beating you over the head with it. It's really nice about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then very shortly after, your uncle dies, and all you care about is, I got a new sword and a shield.
I remember that conversation. I was like, when I started up, it's like, he straight up, it makes the sound.
Yeah.
That was the best. Just
I love old games for that reason. Like, oh, this thing happened. Time to play the fanfare.
yeah.
You got a thing.
Mm-hmm. What was y'all's favorite moments in the game?
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
Opening up Turtle Rock for the first time kind of
Yes.
blew
that's
my
a good
mind.
one. Yeah. I don't know. Favorite part. See, I wrote this down and then it disappeared. I mean, one of my. I guess like when you find the those two fairies, that it's like, oh hey, there's a well here. Do you want to throw something in here? It's like, sure. Just throwing stuff. You like, if you pick the right thing, oh hey, I like your honesty. I'll give you something better than like, we all went through our entire inventory and just like, did you drop
Right.
this? Okay, don't do
Yep,
it again.
through it every single thing.
Yeah. Or
I just learned recently, it's amazing how I've been playing this game fairly regularly for 20 plus years, and I still learn new stuff about it. So April got to the there's a pond that you can throw money in.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I remember I threw money in it once, nothing happened, and I said, forget this, and walked away. But apparently, if
Yeah,
you
you-
throw enough money in it, you get more,
upgrade your
yeah,
bombs or
for
arrows.
bomb capacity and arrow capacity. And I'm like,
Yeah.
so I'm reading this on GameFAQs, because I was looking for something else for it that I couldn't remember. And I went, are you serious?
Yeah.
I could have had more than 10 bombs and arrows?
I
What
know,
the
it makes the
crap?
game so much easier.
50 bombs and 70 arrows.
Yeah. So, yeah, my mind got blown just like 3 days ago.
Speaking of that, I did find something. Like when you go to the you drain the water from in the light world to go into the second dungeon in
Yeah.
the dark world.
Yeah.
How in the light world there's like there's the hard piece and there's those fish flopping around.
Right.
Yep.
I heard that if you throw one of the fish into the lake, he'll give you like 20 rupees or something. But if you pick him up and you take him to Kakariko and you go to the the guy you buy the bottle from,
Yeah.
he'll give you like forget how much, like he'll give you so much stuff.
Like he fills
Like-
your wallet, I think.
Yeah, he fills your wallet. I got some, and he filled up my bomb bag and like arrows.
Wow.
It's like you just get so much stuff. Like, oh, wow, I didn't even know this was a thing.
That
Yeah.
guy really likes fish.
For
Right?
whatever reason. But he does kind of look like a cat.
Yeah, I
I
guess.
guess he does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
There's something that's cool that I
well,
noticed while playing, but
yeah.
I'll think of it later.
Well, we'll go ahead and move on. So I wanted to talk about the impact that this game has had on our culture, on the video game industry as a whole, and on ourselves, personally. So, if I guess obviously the impact that it's had on the video game industry is
Oh,
astronomical.
yeah.
Every like I was a few years ago. My brother and I tried to start like a review website, and I was reviewing oh, what's it called, Beyond Good and Evil,
Mm.
because the
Hmm.
HD version had come out for the Xbox 360, and so I played it, and I was realizing that you've got first person shooters are a dime a dozen,
Yeah.
and you've got Tomb Raider and Uncharted, which are very similar, sort of action games,
Yeah.
but I had never played a game that you could just tell the Legend of Zelda was all over it. That wasn't a Zelda game already. And
Yeah.
Beyond Good and Evil was that for me, and I had that epiphany, like, these games are so amazing. I can't believe that there aren't more people or more developers trying to mimic its success. And of course, there's a lot of games that borrow from it.
Oh, yeah.
Tomb Raider, it has influences from it. You go into a tomb in that game, and you've got the puzzles that are kind of synonymous with those. At least the old games. I don't. It seems like the newer games are probably a little
Light
bit
a
more
torch
action.
to burn up
Right.
cobwebs and
Yeah.
Yeah.
bridge drops or something. Yeah.
And all that stuff, and of course the sword play, and the I guess was the first Zelda the first top view.
But yeah,
Obviously, I guess
had
like
a top-down
Pac-Man could
perspective.
have been
Yeah.
considered that, but you got like Final Fantasy uses the same sort of bird's eye view perspective
Oh,
of
the
everything.
top-down perspective.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I'm sure. I mean, I know Pac-Man came out before Zelda.
Right.
But, like,
But that feels different because it's
Yeah,
all
oh,
on
for
one
sure.
screen, and
yeah.
nothing
Yeah,
scrolls or anything.
I want to say that the original Legend of Zelda was probably the first top-down game.
Yeah.
I think
Like
so.
Dragon
least of its
Quest and
kind,
Final
anyway.
Fantasy and
Hmm.
all those other, they copied it. Yeah.
Right. And then of course being able to grow your character, get more health, and
Hmm.
add items and things like that. Which like in Mario Brothers, you could get bigger, but it was a temporary thing.
Short-lived.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you only had like up to 2 HP. Like
Right. If in Mario Brothers, if you had a flower and you got hit, did you immediately go to being small?
In
Yeah.
the original,
The
yes.
original one, yeah.
Yeah, that's what
In
I was thinking. So
Mario World, they changed that.
Yeah, in Mario 3, actually, for North America, they changed it. You would
Yeah.
go from Fire Mario to Big
to
Mario.
big, and then
Oh,
down
was it?
to small.
Yeah, the Japanese version was just like Mario 1, but North American, they made it easier. And then in Mario
course.
World, they added the inventory box. And yeah.
Well, us Americans,
Yeah, we
Those Japanese
stink at
games are too
video
hard.
games.
Gotta make things easier for us dumb Americans.
Mhm.
right?
But speaking of cultural impact, for me, Zelda has had a huge impact on me. For instance, my notification ringtone is, "Come on, play."
Oh,
My phone's on silent.
Oh,
Crap. Okay, let's try this again.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's obviously the 8-bit sound.
Yeah.
Just because I like the old school feel.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, any Zelda game that has that "you got a thing" jingle, like,
Mhm.
I love it.
yeah.
And that's why that's my notification sound, because
Yeah.
I mean one time I cracked my iPhone and like I hacked it. I mean, like
Mhm.
I jailbroke my iPhone, and I had this complete Zelda pack where when I would plug it into charge, it would make the heart container pickup sound,
That's
and instead of a
cool.
battery meter, it was filling up the heart meter. And
Oh,
like,
Dude.
that's
yeah,
awesome.
like when I would unlock it, it would be Navi's zip, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and she would go in and out.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like,
that's cool.
I mean, shoot, speaking of Navi, like there's a woman I work with who has a high pitched voice, and her text tone when she texts me is "Hey."
My text tone or my notification tone on my phone is the 8-bit collector rupee sound.
Nice.
I was gonna use the fanfare, the "you got a thing," as I guess we're calling it.
That's what Nintendo Capri Sun calls it. So that's what I call it.
Oh, well, there you go.
Fair enough.
I was gonna use that, but I found that it was a little long, and considering all the number of notifications I was getting, I was like, okay, I need something shorter than this. So I settled on rupee, and then pretty much all my other notification or sounds from my phone are from my favorite game in the world, Chrono Trigger, which I'm sure will be a topic of this podcast eventually.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I guess I already talked about, like, as far as influence in my life, my first experience with it. But I've had, let's see, I've got the Super Nintendo version, and it's the same one that I had, when it first came out. I haven't had to rebuy it or anything.
Wow.
I had the Game Boy Advance version, and then I think I bought the Wii. I know I have it for Wii U Virtual Console. I want to say I also had it for Wii, and then just upgraded it to Wii U. So if there was a version for it that I could get my hands on, I got it. I love this game so much. I had so a little fun fact about me. In the Ice Palace, in the Dark World, there's a puzzle, and I think the two of y'all already know what I'm talking about. But you push a block into a hole, and then you have to push that block, once it's down in the room below you, onto a switch, and that opens a door, and then you go through it. I have never solved this puzzle ever, and actually, April just did it a few days ago, and she sends me a message on Facebook, and she's like, "Honey, I just beat the Ice Palace." She didn't know this about me, so I'm like, "Oh, so you solved that puzzle that I've never been able to solve." But a few years ago, my brother is playing it on his Wii, and he gets to the Ice Palace, and he gets to that puzzle, and he calls me up, and he's like, "Hey, I can't solve this puzzle, and I know there was some weird thing you used to do. What was it?" And without skipping a beat, I just told him, "Oh, hey, skip that dungeon, go to Misery Mire, which is the very next dungeon, and get the item from that, which is, I'm going to mess up the name. It's the Cane of
Samaria.
Yeah, that's it. And that item creates a block out of nothing, and you can use that block to hit the switch." So I told him to do that, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, thanks," and he gets off the phone, and as soon as I get off the phone with him, I'm like, "Why do I still know this?" I didn't even have to think about it. It came to me.
Yep.
Just ingrained. Yeah.
Yep. It's like riding a bike.
They actually made that puzzle easier in the Game Boy Advance version because it was so difficult for so many people.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly what they did, but I know that the completionist talked about it when he went through it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they changed it for Game Boy Advance, and he showed it on screen how it was different. Yeah, but I solved it my first time, but then again, I was in my 20s.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure now that I was an adult, maybe if I gave it another shot, I could, but this is just how I've always done it, so that's what I do.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of, April playing this, I remember you were talking about stuff and the chickens, and I remember watching somebody play it, and like or the cuckoos. I'm sorry, not chickens. We've
Right.
had this debate. um, and how when they showed up for the first time in Link to the Past, and how I'm sure most of you out there know, if you attack them with the first sword, if you hit them 35 times, I actually counted it because I thought it was interesting. Yeah, I know
Nice.
it's sad. Um, they just spam from all over the place, and they will destroy you. I'm sure we've all done that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I remember growing up that there was a fake rumor that supposedly, if you do it correctly, you can get the cuckoo sword. Now, this might have been Ocarina, but I believe it was also mentioned for Link to the Past. But I remember when you said April started playing that, I was like, oh yeah, you got to do this to do that, and just keep, yeah.
But it's not real, right? It's
No.
okay. All
One
right.
of those playground rumors.
Yeah.
I remember those. The internet ruined
My
playground
uncle
rumors.
works for Nintendo, and he told me that.
He told me how to get the thing, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
man, you know what, though? There's one other thing for Link to the Past that you guys probably know, the secret room that,
Chris Houlihan room, yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Houlihan. Yeah. How, what was it? He won the thing in Nintendo Power?
Yeah, I think so.
Contest of some kind.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And,
Got his
nobody,
name in the game.
Yep.
nobody discovered it for like 15 years.
Yeah,
And
no,
even
like-
then, don't you have to have a ROM hack of it?
No, you can do
No,
it on the original.
Okay.
It's just really difficult.
Yeah.
What happens is Link gets miscoded by 1 pixel or something like that when screen transitioning.
Uh-huh.
And so when you go into a room when he's miscoded, the game would normally crash, but this is like a fail safe.
Okay.
So it just sends you into this room that's full of I don't know, 100 rupees or something like that.
And he's like,
And there's the speaking stone. And
Yeah.
so it keeps the game from crashing.
yeah.
And then I don't remember where it spits you out, but it always puts you back in the same spot, like Link's house or something.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I think there was a way to make it spawn, though, wasn't there?
It's-
Takes groups 4 spots, and if you don't hit anybody,
Yeah,
And you go
there are
to
very
something.
specific spots. And yeah, if you get hit, Link will be properly recoded.
yeah.
Huh.
But it has to do with the screen transition, and it doesn't work right sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember, I think it was Game Theory talked about it at length. And they were discussing, all the different ways to get into the Chris Houlihan room.
Mm-hmm.
And it was there was all these theories that, you have to run from one spot to the other in less than so many seconds without getting hit. And that's not what it is at all. You can take your sweet time if you get miscoded properly.
Right.
Oh, okay. That would explain it then.
Sweet. Anyway, well, did any of y'all have anything to add about the game, or?
So one of the ways that I like to consume this game, besides playing it, is watching other people play it. Like I mentioned earlier, that the first time I really experienced Zelda, I was watching a friend play it, and then I watched my brother play it. So this is a thing I've been doing for a long time, way before YouTube. And so every once in a while, I like to watch a speed run, especially the GDQs. But it really saddens me when they do these, out of bounds save and quit runs where they just totally glitch out the game. It destroys the game. It's like
Yeah.
slicing the Mona Lisa up into 1 micron sheets and dissecting it completely and saying, these are all the flaws that what's his name, Leonardo da Vinci made while painting this.
Yeah.
And then they reconstruct it back together and be like, but it's a work of art.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, no, don't do that to my game, please.
The only Zelda speedrun, I guess I didn't watch all of it. I just heard there's a glitch in Wind Waker where you can just get launched from certain islands to other islands, but what's happening is you're not teleporting or anything. The game is literally throwing Link from one location to another. So the glitch is also dependent on you having Link looking in exactly the right spot, or you'll miss the island that you're trying to get to. And
Oh, man.
but people, and it's apparently
luck.
this still exists in the Wii U
Oh,
HD
no way.
remake.
Does it?
So it's really neat. If you look it up, there's people, you have to fall from a high enough ledge, and I think do an item switch at just the right moment, and the physics engine gets all out of whack, and so it just shoots you in whichever direction you're looking, and people use that to essentially fast travel from one island to the next. And some of them have gotten so good at it that they know, like, okay, Link has to be looking in this spot or I'm gonna miss, because the islands are so
Yeah, they're
far
tiny.
apart. Right.
Yeah.
But if you're not, if you're 1 degree one direction or the other, you'll miss.
I mean, you'll miss it by like a mile.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
And you can't swim on the Great Ocean.
No,
Like,
you sure
Not
can't.
really. Not with any kind of
Yeah.
proficiency.
distance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the game Star Tropics.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I recently found out that was like a North America only game. It
Yep.
actually never
Mhm.
hit Japan.
Mhm.
And I always wondered, like, oh man, this is like straight up Zelda, but Americanized. That's weird. Then I realized it was America only.
Yeah.
I
I've
thought that
heard
was
it's really
interesting.
good too.
It is. The turning is horrible. Like, if you have to turn and hit something,
Mhm.
you will probably die. But
Oh.
in and of itself, it's a lot of fun because I mean, you have a yo-yo for your sword basically.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you're hitting that, and you jump, and you can get fireballs and
That's-
stuff.
Ness from Earthbound uses a yo-yo, doesn't he?
Yep.
Yeah,
You never see
yo-yo
it
and
in
that.
the game, but you see it all over
Right.
Super Smash Brothers.
Uh-huh.
But yeah,
I think it's one of the weapons you can have him have, though. I think. I just got Earthbound for the Wii U. I'm like, I'm gonna play this,
Yeah.
and then I
Well,
got a little
because
bit
it's
into
got
it,
that fighting, the way it looks, you never actually see any of your party.
Yeah. It's all
And
just
when you
described.
attack them,
Yeah.
there's just like the bad guy shakes, and
yeah, screen shake, and then
HP,
like,
mhm.
ting-ting-ting.
It's like
a
the game
lot
was
like,
made for NES or something.
have y'all played Undertale yet?
I have not.
I should.
I've heard so many good things,
Yeah,
but no.
the battle system, at least the way it looks, it's very obviously a callback to Earthbound. It's really cool. I love
I
that
think I
game.
did see that because I was seeing somebody play it a little bit, and I saw that how it looked like
I've
that.
watched a playthrough, and I need to play it myself because
Yeah.
it is unlike any other RPG, and it's an RPG that I would actually play.
Right. All right, so that's a link to the past. We're going to go ahead and start wrapping it up here. But before we go, let's get some suggestions for what we should play next week. You guys got any ideas?
How about Banjo-Kazooie? That's one of my favorite games. I love it.
All right,
Yeah, that works.
excellent. Yeah, I didn't have that for N64 and still don't, but I do have the 360 Xbox Live Arcade game, and I have it for Rare Replay. And those of you listening, definitely, if you already have a copy, play it again so that you can play along with us. If you don't, there are 80 million Xbox 360s in the world. Chances are, if you're inclined to listen to a podcast like this, you are one of those 80 million people. So you can pick that up on Xbox Live Arcade. I want to say it's no more than $20, but I'll bet it's 15. Heck, it might even be 10 right now. But if you've got an Xbox One, an even better way to play it would be to go grab Rare Replay, which is 30 games for $30. Or if you're like me, you found it on Black Friday for $15. Booyah.
No way.
So,
Ugh,
yeah, I'm sure if you look on Amazon hard enough,
I'm sure you could find it for
you can
that same
find
price
it, yeah,
nowadays,
or at
'cause
least maybe $20. But heck, even if all you can find it for is 30, it's worth
it's
it.
still a pretty good deal. Yeah, I mean, I have it, and I don't play most of the games on there, but considering there's 5 games that are actually
Oh yeah,
I actually enjoy,
Mhm.
like when you think of that's okay, they're $6 each. That's a pretty good deal.
right. All right. Well, I think that's probably going to do it for our pilot episode of Original Gamers Cast. I think that went pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
That was cool.
So,
Fun.
I guess now would be the time that if I had a fancy catchphrase that I would say it, but I don't. So,
Work on that.
yeah.
Thanks for
Edit that
listening,
in post.
everyone. Be blessed and be good humans.
Yeah. See you next
go.
time.
Thanks for joining us. See ya. Boom. All right.
Boom, outro.
Yes.
Call up LJ.
Yeah.
Play that. Drop them beats.